Okay, so good afternoon, doctors. I am Dr. Edward Nagiat once again. Today we would be reviewing on our fifth quiz on the section from toxicology. So this is based from Tintinali 9th edition as well as some concepts from Goldfrank's toxicologic emergencies as well as the black book, no, from the Philippine General Hospital. So without further ado, let's get started. So question number one, what is the first priority in any poisoned patient? No? So this is the most important concept that you have to know whenever you see patients in the emergency room as a case of toxic ingestion, toxic exposure, no, or whatever toxicology related condition. So there are 7 principles in the management of poisoning cases. The first and foremost would be resuscitation or yung stabilization. No? Other textbooks would mention as stabilization. No? So first and foremost, ito ang gagawin mo. No? Regardless of the case, so resuscitation is the first priority. Okay? So as I have mentioned, there are 7 principles. The first and foremost would be stabilization or resuscitation. And then the next step would be clinical evaluation. So diyan papasok yung toxidromes, no, recognition of different toxicologic toxidromes. Kunwari yung cholinergic toxidrome, serotonergic toxidromes, no? Okay, and then the third principle would be minimizing absorption. Okay, so most common na ginagawa dito would be yung gastric lavage kapag within the first 1 to 3 hours yung ingestion, no? Kapag for example, overdose ng tablets na within first hour to 3 hours, no? Depende na lang kung may anticholinergic property yung in-ingest niya, no? So you do lavage, no? You insert an NGT, okay, tapos mag-infuse ka ng fluids, tapos i-Tetrendelenburg mo yung patient, no? So hanggang sa maka-gather ka ng mga nadurog-durog na tablets, no? So, but if you're not able to catch the patient within this time frame, so the next would be yung single dose activated charcoal. So, lagi nyo usually nakikita to in most tox cases. Maliban na lang kung caustic ingestion yan. Okay? So, pagka caustic ingestion, for example, you do not give SDAC. No? You do not give single dose activated charcoal. Contraindicated yon, no? Now, when you give SDAC, so make sure that you have to give a cathartic, yung pampatae. So, usually sodium sulfate. Okay? And then, you usually give it up to 2 doses, yung sodium sulfate, 1 hour apart. No? So, kapag walang bowel movement, 1 hour after giving yung charcoal, so you have to give ipampatae, sodium sulfate. So, pagka wala pa ring bowel movement, 1 hour after giving the first dose of sodium sulfate, you have to give a repeat dose of the sodium sulfate. Pagka wala pa ring bowel movement, 1 hour after yung sodium sulfate na pangalawa, then you give soap suds enema, yung Perla white soap. No? And then, in rare cases, yung mga Watusi, ingestion, so you give raw egg white, no? And then, in cases of iron toxicity, mga iron tablets, no? So, you give sodium bicarbonate. Okay? Ngayon, for enhancing elimination, you give multiple dose activated charcoal, no? So, hindi sa lahat ng tox cases gagamit kayo ng enhancing elimination. You usually utilize this kapag the toxicant undergoes enterohepatic recirculation. Okay? So for example, ang amlodipine, no? So yan, it undergoes enterohepatic recirculation. So there is a long list, no? You review na lang sa black book, no? Pati dun sa Gold Franks, no? Actually, you can Google din naman, no? If you want to know if a certain drug undergoes enterohepatic recirculation, so check it out. You give a multiple dose activated charcoal. Okay? And then, sodium bicarbonate, pansin nyo, ginagamit siya sa minimizing absorption kanina in cases of iron ingestion. Pero sodium bicarbonate can also be utilized to enhance elimination sa mga gamot na acidic, no? Yung mga salicylates, no? So you give sodium bicarbonate in order to alkalinize the urine, no? To do ion trapping, no? Yung principle of ion trapping. Okay? Basically, pagka naging charge yung isang substrate, ma-enhance mo yung elimination niya. So, hindi mo siya ma-reabsorb. Okay? Likewise, sa mga amphetamines, since they are alkaline, you have to ionize them by acidifying the urine by ascorbic acid, no? So, take note, if you want to alkalinize, you give sodium bicarbonate. If you want to acidify, ascorbic acid, no? Those are agents to enhance elimination, no? And then another thing to take note is hemodialysis or hemoperfusion. Kadalasan yan sa mga lithium, no? Sa mga lithium overdose. Then antidotes. So there are many antidotes, no? You run through the book na lang, no? And then supportive. So basic lang yan kung anong kailangan ng pasyente. For example, hypoglycemic, then you give a D50-50 or you hook the patient to D5 containing fluids. Okay, kung may fever yung pasyente, then you give antipyretics and the likes, no? Then disposition, usually you admit this patient, you refer to in-house toxicologist, no? And then if there's a need for a referral to gastro service for urgent endoscopy sa mga caustics, you have to do so. If there is a need to refer to psychiatry, refer to addiction medicine, okay? So, isasama mo yan dyan. Depende sa kaso. Okay? So, those are the 7 principles of poisoning management in specific order. Ito lang yung gusto kong maalala nyo. First and foremost na una nyong gagawin is to stabilize the patient. Now, practical concepts you have to know. Common kasi to. Single dose activated charcoal. Just make sure na hindi caustic yung ininom ng pasyente. Hindi cyanide. Walang alcohols. No? Walang petroleum distillates. So, pwede ka magbigay ng activated charcoal, no? Okay, so when you give single dose or yung SDAC, you give it per OREM or per NGT. Kadalasan NGT ginagawa natin para accurate yung amount na nabibigay natin sa patient. So, take note, pagka adult, 100 grams of activated charcoal dissolved in 200 ml water via NGT. Hindi IV, ha. And then, pag pediatric, 1 gram per kilogram. So, whatever the value in grams, so i-multiply mo sa 3. That would be your ml of water. So, for example, 10 kilos yung pasyente mo na bata. So, 10 grams yung charcoal na gagamitin mo kasi 1:1, di ba? Then, yung diluent niya na water, times 3 mo lang. So, 10 times 3 is 30. So, ang order mo dyan, pag 10 kilos yung pasyente, give activated charcoal 10 grams in 30 ml water via NGT. Okay? Pagka multiple dose activated charcoal, yung first dose, same lang nung kanina. It's just that, after 6 hours, you have to give yung half nung dose nung activated charcoal. So, 50 grams in 100 ml. So, pati yung volume ng water, half na lang. Diba? And then, 0.5 grams per kilo. Kalahati din ang timpla. Pero the dilution is the same. Okay, 1:3. Just make sure na on the fourth activated charcoal, fourth dose, no, you give your sodium sulfate. Okay, kasi yung activated charcoal, adsorption with the D, no? Adsorption. Kumakapit siya dun sa lining ng gastric intestinal mucosa. So, pwede mag-constipate yung pasyente mo. So, that's why you have to give cathartics later on yung sodium sulfate. Ito siya. So, itong sodium sulfate, per NGT din to, ha? Hindi IV. So, 15 grams in 100 ml water in adults. Pag pedya, take note, 250 milligrams per kilo. And then, whatever your value in milligrams, you have to convert it to grams. Okay? Whatever your value in milligrams, you convert it to grams. Tapos, i-multiply mo by 10. Kasi 1:10 dilution. Okay? And then, soap suds enema, pagka hindi gumana yung dalawang dose mo ng sodium sulfate, you give this, no? You grate half bar of perla white soap. You mix in 1 liter of water pag adult. Pag pedya, you mix in 200 ml of water. Give us enema. Enema na. Sa puwet. Hindi na NGT yan, no? So, yan. 1 hour apart lang naman yung titingnan mo to check for bowel movement. Okay? So, pag nagbigay ka ng charcoal, again, after 1 hour, walang bowel movement, you give sodium sulfate. If after 1 hour, wala pa ring sodium sulfate, wala pa ring bowel movement, you give the second dose of the sodium sulfate. Then, if wala pa ring bowel movement, 1 hour after the second dose of sodium sulfate, then you give the soap suds enema. So, meron na yan usually, no? Ma-appreciate mo dyan yung black stool. No? Kasi black yung charcoal. Okay? So, I want you to take note of this lang. Pagka-digoxin, take note that the DigiFab, digoxin antibody, no? Yun yung antidote. Pag organophosphate, atropine. Okay? Pagka sodium channel blocker, bicarb. Pagka calcium channel blocker, ito take note, ha. In calcium channel blocker toxicity, ang una mong gagawin dyan is you give fluids pagka hypotensive yung patient, pero hindi sobrang dami. Okay? And then, after you give fluids, you give calcium gluconate. Okay? Pagka hindi tumalab yung calcium gluconate, you can give glucagon. Tsaka ka lang mag-high dose insulin infusion. Okay? Ano lang, ito kasi generalities lang kasi to. Pero if you read the chapter on calcium channel blocker, may specific order. Yung sequence, kung ano yung uunahin mo. So, fluids muna kung hypotensive, pero hindi sobrang dami. Kasi pwede mag-congest yung pasyente mo. And then, you give calcium gluconate. And then, kung bradycardic, you can give glucagon. Then, tsaka ka lang bibigay ng high-dose insulin. Provided, napasok ka sa criteria mo. So, may mga criteria pa yan. Yung CBG, no? So, later on na lang, no? I-discuss natin in detail. Then, ito yung mga antidotes as mentioned, no? I suggest you familiarize with this, no? Kasi usually natatanong yan sa in-service exam. Okay? Ayun nga, nakita ko. Calcium channel blockers, magbigay ka ng Calgluc. Okay? Pag hypermagnesemia, kalglok din, no? I think this was the previously asked question. Pag renal patient, kunwari nagbigay ka na overdose ng magnesium. So, kalglok, no? Ay bibigay mo. Likewise, sa mga OB patients na eclampsia, na nagbibigay ka ng Magsul, 'di ba, you monitor for deep tendon reflex. Kunwari nawalan ng nag-hyporeflexia siya or naging areflexic yung patient mo, may mga hemodynamic instability ka, expect mo baka hypermagnesemia yan, no? So, you give calcium gluconate. Okay? So, you run through this, familiarize yourselves, no? Isoniazid, pyridoxine. Okay? Pag nag-seizure, usually may kasamang diazepam, no? Okay? Sa Wernicke syndrome, thiamine, no? So, familiarize with those. So, the correct answer is resuscitation. Next, what is the most common cause of death in serotonin syndrome? So, this was previously asked. Before we answer that, you have to familiarize kung ano yung mga drugs that are serotonergic. Okay? Usually, mga SSRI lang naman yan. Yung mga MAOIs, yung mga monoamine oxidase inhibitor, nice to know na lang yan. Bihira na yan nakikita. What I want you to emphasize is SSRI. Yan. Tandaan nyo yan. Pwede yan lumabas sa in-service exam nyo. Magbibigay ng case. Magme-mention ng fluoxetine o kaya sertraline, escitalopram, paroxetine. Yan. Familiarize yourself with those. Okay? Tapos, yung iba, nice to know na lang. No? But I want you to focus on the SSRI. Ito, if you have to memorize something, siguro ito. SSRIs. Okay? So, these are the clinical features. Kung titingnan mo siya per se, pwede kang malito, pwede mo siya mapagbaligtad sa neuroleptic malignant syndrome, no? Kasi parehas naman yan, may altered sensation, parehas yan maglalagnat, parehas yan magmamuscle rigidity. So, in order for you to distinguish serotonin syndrome from neuroleptic malignant syndrome, you have to elicit sa history. Ano ba yung in-ingest ng pasyente mo? Pangalawa, the onset. Take note of the onset. Serotonin, sudden. Madaling tandaan, S, sudden. S, serotonin syndrome. Okay? Neuroleptic malignant syndrome, usually matagal-tagal yan. No? It will take time. And then, yung features, tingnan mo, serotonin syndrome, myoclonus, tremors, hyperreflexia. Okay? Serotonin syndrome yan. Pagka bradyreflexia, baligtad. Bradykinesia, lead pipe rigidity. So, slow. Mga slow yan. Neuroleptic malignant syndrome. So, madaling tandaan. Neuroleptic malignant syndrome, slow ang onset. No? Delayed ang onset. Mabagal. O mabagal din. No? Bradyreflexia. Bradykinesia, mabagal din. So, sobrang bagal niya, tumigas siya. O, lead pipe rigidity. O, diba? Madaling tandaan. O, serotonin syndrome, S for sudden. Okay? Tapos myoclonus, tremors, hyperreflexia. Hyper, no? Neuroleptic malignant syndrome, matagal, mabagal. Mabagal onset. O mabagal din siya, o bradyreflexia, bradykinesia. Sobrang bagal niya, matigas. Okay? Lead pipe rigidity. Okay? So, the cornerstone of treating serotonin syndrome. So, syempre, discontinue the serotonergic drugs, supportive care. Pero, like I've said, practically speaking, in real practice, you apply the 7 principles of management ng poisoning cases as mentioned earlier. Una ulit, resuscitation or you stabilize the patient, no? So, and then yung clinical talk syndrome, so yan, makikita mo yung symptoms ng pasyente. Then, minimizing absorption, enhancing elimination, then the antidote. And then, the supportive management, then the disposition. So, lagi yung tatandaan yung 7 principles na yon. Okay? Then, the most common cause of death is severe hyperthermia. Ayan. Okay? Another common differential diagnosis, although medyo bihira na, before, pag nag-i-intubate ka, RSI, you give succinylcholine before, nung available pa siya, bigla nagkaroon ng sudden onset din, no? Fever, muscle rigidity. So, ano ang differential mo dun? Pwedeng yung kanina, no? Serotonin syndrome. Pero, ang causative agent mo is succinylcholine. So, ano yon? Malignant hyperthermia naman yon. Okay? So, ang antidote doon sa malignant hyperthermia is dantrolene. Okay? Nice to know. Kasi, pero baka lumabas sa licensure exam nyo. So, what is the most common cause of death? Severe hyperthermia. Sobrang hot na matay. Next. In the management of benzodiazepine toxicity, flumazenil is one of the options for treatment. So, saan daw contraindicated yung flumazenil? So, I want you to take note na when you rotate in toxicology sa PGH or sa ISAB, no? You would notice na ang flumazenil is hindi siya routine binibigay, no? Even though it is classically the antidote for benzodiazepines. Maraming journals, maraming literature ang nagsasabi na in most instances the harm outweighs the benefits. So, baliktad. Hindi siya routinely binibigay talaga, no? At saka kung magbibigay ka ng flumazenil, there are multiple criterias to look into. Depende kung anong reference ang titingnan mo. If you read Goldfrank's, napakaraming criteria ang titingnan mo. May ECG criteria ka, may mga itatanong ka sa history ng pasyente, okay? Yung sensorium ng pasyente, no? So, marami kang titingnan talaga. But, according to Tintinali, no, ito naman yung importante sa atin, yung Tintinali, no? You take note, contraindicated siya in patients with suspected elevation of intracranial pressure, such as in severe head injury. Okay? Ngayon, baka naman itanong, ano ang ibibigay mo? Pagka kunwari, nag-flumazenil ka, tapos nag-seizure. So, ang sagot dyan, phenobarbital or propofol. Okay? Nakabold yan, baka itanong. So, this is the table from Tintinali, yung mga contraindications to giving flumazenil, overdose of unknown agents. Medyo common sense naman kasi, ba't ka magbibigay ng flumazenil kung hindi mo naman alam? Hindi mo naman na-confirm in the first place na benzodiazepine siya. Pangalawa, physical dependence on benzodiazepine. Baka kasi mag-seizure yung pasyente mo or maging anxious yung patient mo after magbigay ng flumazenil. Suspected illicit drug overdose, co-ingestion of seizure-inducing agents, no? Kasi nga, ang flumazenil, pwede siya mag-cause ng hyperactivity sa brain. Kasi 'di ba, ini-inhibit niya yung GABA. 'Di ba? Sa GABA yung site of activity niyan eh. Then, known seizure disorder, so contraindication yan. Suspected increased intracranial pressure such as yung mga head trauma. So, yung previous na licensure exam sa in-service, So, tinanong yan yung ano daw gagawin mo, nag-overdose daw ng benzodiazepine. Pero na-head trauma daw, GCS-10. So, isa sa mga panglito dun sa choices is to give flumazenil. Pero hindi yun yung sagot. No? Ang sagot dun sa question na yun is activated charcoal. Okay, basta tatandaan nyo lang the 7 principles na na-mention ko kanina paulit-ulit. Regardless of the toxicant, laging dun kayo magbe-base. Okay? Sa mga previous slides na na-discuss ko na, no? Itong flumazenil hindi to routine binibigay, no? Nice to know, pero baka itanong, no? Kasi nasa table. So, contraindicated siya sa seizure disorder. Okay? A patient was rushed in the ER due to alcohol withdrawal. CWAR was noted to be 10. Every how many hours will you give diazepam? So, in patients na chronic alcoholic, isa sa magiging complication dyan yung alcohol withdrawal. Okay? So, very important to score these patients with CWAR. Madali na lang ngayon kasi may medcalc na. So, pindutin mo na lang yung hinihingi. You would be able to get the score, no? So, there is a table in Tintinali nandito sa ilalim, no? Actually, napakaliit niyan. Napakahaba nung table, pero doon sa dulo nung table, napakaliit nito. Yan yung gagawin mo, no? So, pagka less than 8, no medication necessary, hindi ka nang bibigyan ng benzodiazepine. Pagka 9 to 15, may moderate withdrawal, you give benzodiazepine every 2 hours. More than 15, Q1. So, very important ang CWAR scoring. Okay? So, every 2 hours, kasi 9 to 15. Next, which of the following medications has a role in the management of methanol toxicity? So, this practically summarizes the comparison between methanol and ethylene glycol. No? So, nandiyan na yung mga clinical features. So, lagi kayo magpapa-ABG. Pag ganyan, no? ABG lagi. Full electrolytes. Kidney ano ka, magpa-kidney markers ka. BU and CREA. Then, ideally, methanol level or ethylene glycol level, if available. And then, take note, yung mga similarities nila, fomepizole or ethanol, tsaka yung bicarb. Okay? Yun yung pareha sa kanila. Bicarb, tsaka yung fomepizole, tsaka ethanol. Ito ang tinanong. Yung difference nila. Kailan ka magbibigay ng folic acid? Sa methanol. Folic acid, methanol. So, parang mnemonic, para madali nyo maalala, no? FM, family medicine. Folic acid, methanol. O kung gusto nyong mnemonic na iba, male, female, MF, pwede din naman. Methanol, folic acid. Okay? Then, ethylene glycol, yung tatlo. Yung dalawang vitamins, B1, B6, tsaka magsul. B1, B6, magsul. Okay? So, just a brief discussion. Methanol, baka lang itanong sa exam nyo. Magbigay ng case. Ito yung presentation. Altered sensorium kunwari. Tapos may visual changes. Yan, no? Photophobia, blurred or snow vision. Pwede yung ilabas sa case. Tapos ang itatanong, hindi daw maalala ko ano yung nainom, ano daw yung most likely nainom. So yan, most likely methanol, no? Then ethylene glycol naman, altered sensorium din, pero renal failure. Okay, pero delayed yan, ha? Hindi yan agad-agad. So there are 3 phases. Yung first is the neurologic. And then yung pangalawa, yung cardiopulmonary. The last is the renal. It can be easily remembered as NCR, National Capital Region. So, neurologic, cardiopulmonary, renal. Okay, so you run through this, no? NCR. Ethylene glycol. So, again, methanol, toxicity. So, family medicine yung mnemonic natin, FM. Or kung gusto nyo, male-female, pwede din. Methanol, folic acid. Tapos, pagka ethylene glycol, yung tatlo, no? Si B1, si B6, tsaka si Magsul. Next, what is the most likely causative agent? 34-year-old male, taong grasa, altered sensorium. Pertinent dito, RR, tatlo lang, oh. RR of 3. DESAT, 89%. Altered sensorium. Pinpoint pupils. Tapos multiple IV injection site wounds. So, drug user siya, most likely. Ano yan? So, opioids yan, no? Opioid intoxication. Take note, the triad of meiosis, lethargy, respiratory depression. Yan yung nasa patient natin, di ba? Kasi pinpoint pupils, altered sensorium, tsaka yung RR niya, 3 lang. Okay? So, morphine ang sagot dyan, no? So, you just have to know kung ano yung tawag sa mga yan in general. So, morphine is an opioid, ba? It acts on some mu receptors. Methamphetamine, iba yan, no? Sildenafil, hindi yan, no? Sa phosphodiesterase yan, eh. Atropine, iba yan, no? That is used for symptomatic bradycardia, no? Next, which of the following has a role to enhance elimination of amphetamines? So, again, if you would recall the 7 principles na nabanggit ko kanina, paano ka mag-enhance na elimination? Pwede ka mag-MDAC. So, mali na kagad yung first choice. Okay? And then, pwede ka rin magbigay ng sodium bicarb if you want to alkalinize the urine. Pwede ka magbigay ng ascorbic acid if you want to acidify the urine. Yung raw egg white, hindi yan kasama, no? It's more of minimizing absorption sa mga WA2C ingestion, no? As mentioned earlier. So, mamimili ka na lang dito sa B or C. Amphetamine, ano ba yan? Is it a base or is it an acid? So, amine. So, alkaline siya. If you want to apply the principle of ion trapping, paano mo siya ma-ionize? Would you acidify or would you alkalinize the urine? So, syempre, i-acidify mo. Diba? So, ibabaligtad mo yung pH. So, ascorbic acid is the correct answer. So, this is from the black book, no? From the Philippine General Hospital. Ascorbic acid, no? So, that is what you use to enhance elimination. Pero, syempre, you also give multiple dose activated charcoal kasi amphetamines undergo enterohepatic recirculation. Mag-MDAC ka din dyan. Okay, MDAC tapos ascorbic acid. Okay? What stage of paracetamol toxicity is characterized by abdominal pain or tenderness and elevation of transaminases? So, very recall type of question, pero highly testable concept. So, take note, stage 2. Okay? Abdominal pain, transaminases, stage 2. Paano kapag iron toxicity? Anong stage yon? Yung abdominal pain. Stage 4 yon sa iron toxicity. Pero pag paracetamol toxicity, stage 2 yon, yung abdominal pain, saka yung transaminases. Okay, then you, more or less, pagka milder, edi stage 1. Diba? Pagka mas pangit, yung presentation, edi stage 3. Stage 4, ano na yan eh, yung nag-improve or hindi, diba? So, kung magme-memorize kayo, yung gitna. Diba? Practical, ano lang, para hindi kayo mahirapan mag-memorize. Memorize yung gitna, yung stage 2. Pagka mas milder, edi yung una. Pag mas pangit, yung sumunod. Di ba? So, this is what you have to very know by heart. Yung Rumac-Matthew normogram. So, in patients with paracetamol overdose, you would request serum paracetamol assay pagka at least naka 4 hours post-ingestion na yung pasyente. But not beyond 24 hours. Okay? So, magre-request ka niyan 4 hours post-ingestion hanggang 24 hours post-ingestion. Anything before or after dose, walang role. Walang role yung serum paracetamol assay. And then, kung ano yung value na lalabas sa serum paracetamol assay, you would plot. Okay? So, interpret mo based dito sa graph na to. Okay? And then, that is going to guide you kung magpapa-add ka pa ng additional N-acetylcysteine. No? So, ganun. Okay? Take note, the hours, yung post-ingestion, 4 hours. Pagka before 4 hours, huwag ka magre-request ng serum paracetamol assay. Okay? Pag beyond 24 hours, huwag ka din magre-request. Unless na lang, you have a compelling reason to do so. Such as, re-ingestion. Nag-ingest ulit. Okay? Pero, in most cases naman, yung isang big time na ingestion lang naman yan. So, take note of the time frame, no? 4 to 24 hours. Then, take note, yung antidote mo for paracetamol overdose is N-acetylcysteine. Take note that it can be given per orem. Pero, by experience, susuka talaga yung pasyente mo dyan. No? You only reserve that pagka talagang na-assign ka sa ospital na walang IV na N-acetylcysteine o kaya talagang no choice ka. Talagang mapipilitan ka mag N-acetylcysteine per orem, edi you have to know this, no? 140 milligrams per kilo. Tapos 70 milligrams per kilo every 4 hours for 17 doses. Know this. In case lang na mapunta kayo sa ospital na walang IV N-acetylcysteine. Pero, ito talaga yung kailangan yung tandaan, yung 150, 50, 100. 150, 50, 100, no? Yan yung 3-bag protocol na naririnig nyo, no? Sa management ng paracetamol toxicity. First 1 to 2 hours, magbibigay ka niyan, no? 150 milligrams per kilo of N-acetylcysteine mixed with D5 water, 200 ml. Okay? Pero bago ka magbigay niyan, make sure lang may separate line ka sa main line, no? So, meron kang line para sa main line, yung D5 containing fluids mo. Tapos, separate line itong N-acetylcysteine. Okay? Then, bago ka magbigay, usually ng N-acetylcysteine, you give test dose via IV, ha? IV ang test dose. Fast push yun. You watch out for anaphylactoid reactions, no? Anaphylactoid reactions kasi hindi naman siya IgE mediated. Okay? Then, after ng IV test dose sa separate line, so, you give 150 milligrams per kilo N-acetylcysteine in 200 ml, D5 water, 1 to 2 hours, no? And then, you next to run for 4 hours, then you next to run for 16 hours. So, 150, 50, 100. Tapos, yung diluent mo, 200, 500, 1,000. Pagka-pediatric, huwag nyo na itong sundin, pero in practice, ang ginagawa lang naman dyan, i-divide mo yung weight ng pasyente sa 70. Okay? Then yung 70 na yun, so yung weight niya, i-divide mo sa 70, you would get the multipliant factor. I-multiply mo siya dun sa 200, 500, saka 1,000 respectively. So, liliit yung volume. no? Tapos, i-adjust mo yung mainline pagka bata. So, make sure you know how to compute yung holiday CEGAR. And then, alamin mo yung maintenance rate. And then, you would adjust the maintenance, i-adjust mo yung mainline mo so that the total fluid rate is equal to yung holiday CEGAR na computed mo. So, usually sa first 1 to 2 hours sa PEDYA, naka-hold yung mainline mo while you're giving this yung 150 milligrams per kilo. Pero yung remaining, yung second tsaka yung third bag, depende na yan sa weight ng pasyente. Okay? So, at your level, tandaan nyo lang, 150, 50, 100. Okay? Tapos D5 water, ha? Ang diluent nyo. So, the correct answer is stage 2. Abdominal pain sa paracetamol. Stage 2. Abdominal pain sa iron toxicity. Stage 4. Next, what particular CNS complication may occur among supratherapeutic mefenamic acid ingestions? Recall type 2. Seizures. Seizures. Okay? Yun yung tamang sagot. So, ano daw yung causative agent? Meron daw depressed na elderly, nag-overdose ng unrecalled antihypertensive. Naging hypotensive siya, nag-brady, elevated yung lactate, tapos hyperglycemia. So, very classic, ano yan? Amlodipine. So, CCBs. That is the reason why high-dose insulin therapy is part sa management ng CCB toxicity kasi magkakaroon ng hyperglycemia. So, bakit? Kasi ang calcium channels mo, hindi lang naman sa blood peripheral vessels, hindi lang naman sa heart, no? Meron ding calcium channel sa pancreas. So, that is why, pag na-block yun, so, mabablock yung insulin secretion, magkakaroon ng hyperglycemia. Okay? So, take note of this table. Very useful, no? Yung mga differentials based dun sa distinguishing features. So, you have to run through this. Take note, yung clonidine, opioid-like manifestation siya. Kaya, sa management ng clonidine overdose, kasama ang naloxone. Huwag kayong magugulat. No? If you would actually review yung table kanina, no? Yung clonidine, naloxone ang binibigay din. Part of management. Okay? Correct answer is amlodipine. Next, what is the most consequential adverse effect associated with ACE inhibitors or ARBs overdose? Recall type 2, angioedema. Angioedema. So, if you have read through the section of yung resuscitation, yung chapter on allergy and anaphylaxis, so makikita nyo dyan yung ACE inhibitor induced angioedema. So, na-discuss doon na hindi gumagana yung traditional epinephrine, yung steroids, antihistamines, hindi yun usually gumagana dyan. You have to give yung mga C1 esterase, diba? Yung mga icatibant, diba? If you would review. And then, kasama din dun sa management ng ACE inhibitor induced na angioedema na mention din doon, fresh frozen plasma. Kasama rin yun doon, no? So, anyway, that is the correct answer, angioedema. So, you review na lang, no? Next. So, a 3-year-old male accidentally ingested liquid from a reused mineral water bottle. So, after napainom, accidentally, nag-ubo-ubo, namamaga yung lalamunan, tapos ang sangsang ng amoy kerosene daw. Provided there were no co-ingestants. Okay, which of the following properties may predispose the patient to aspiration pneumonia. So, the question is asking you about the properties of hydrocarbons in general. So, alin dyan yung property ng hydrocarbon? So, para hindi kayo mahirapan, just think of it. Paano mabilis kakalat yung hydrocarbon? Paano siya mabilis kakalat? Kailangan hindi siya viscous. Kailangan malabnaw siya para mabilis siyang kumalat. Parang tubig, di ba? Mabilis kumalat. Pero dapat mababa din yung surface tension. Hindi siya kumakapit. Okay, walang resistance. Mabilis siyang kumalat. Nagdi-disperse lang siya. Then, high volatility. O yan. Yan lang yung high sa kanya. Volatility. Mabilis kumalat. So, para hindi kayo mahirapan mag-memorize, paano nyo siya mapapabilis, mapakalat? Dapat low viscosity, hindi siya malapot, so dapat malabnaw siya. Low on surface tension, wala masyadong resistance. High volatility, mabilis mag-evaporate, mabilis kumalat. No? So, the correct answer is low surface tension. Next. So, a 17-year-old female was rushed in the ER due to multiple drug ingestion daw. Tapos, 30 minutes prior. Ngayon, nung na-retrieve yung blister packs, paracetamol daw. 500 mg per tablet, tapos 50 empty slots. So, na-confirm mo na isang gamot lang na klase na inom niya. No? Bagong bili daw lahat ng blister pack. So, it is safe to say na 50 na ingest niya. So, anong gagawin mo? Mag-e-MDAC ka ba dito? Hindi. Kasi, ang paracetamol naman, it does not undergo enterohepatic recirculation. So, mali na yan. Pangalawa, in the absence of IV and acetylcysteine, oral form can be given. So, I think na-mention ko na to kanina sa table. Pag na-assign kayo sa hospital na walang IV and acetylcysteine, you give oral and acetylcysteine. Yung 140 mg per kilo, di ba? Pero yun nga lang, tandaan nyo dito, masusuka talaga yung pasyente nyo dyan. Severe GI irritation ang pwede mangyari. Just have to explain to the patient na expected yun. Okay? So, B is the correct answer. You can extract blood sample at this point. Kailan ba in-ingest ng pasyente? 30 minutes prior. Ano bang sabi natin kanina sa RUMAC, Matthew? Kailan ka magre-request? Dapat at least naka 4 hours ka, di ba? Doon sa RUMAC, Matthew. 4 hours to 24 hours post-ingestion. Ito, 30 minutes pa lang. So, hindi ka magre-request ng serum paracetamol at that time. You can give sodium bicarb. Na-enhance ba ang elimination ng paracetamol? Hindi naman. There's no role for that. Okay? Ang management mo lang naman dito is gastric lavage. Okay, kasi 30 minutes prior, within 1 to 3 hours. Una mong gagawin dito, gastric lavage. Kasi stable naman yung vital signs eh. Ayun o. Provided na stable, so okay ka na. Tapos, yung clinical evaluation, ito na yung ginawa natin. Then, minimizing absorption, yun nga, gastric lavage. Tapos, single dose activated charcoal. Wala ka namang contraindications kasi sabi dito, no other co-ingestants were noted. Very important na maitanong niya sa history. Baka mamaya, nagparacetamol, pero yung pinang-inom, muriatic acid. Hindi ka na makapagbigay ng ng activated charcoal pag gaganon. No? Ito naman, paracetamol lang. So, pwede ka magbigay ng SDAC. Then, bigay ka ng cathartic such as sodium sulfate, as mentioned kanina. So, yan, minimizing absorption. Enhancing elimination, wala ka namang mabibigay eh. Next, antidote, ito, and acetylcysteine. And then, more of supportive management ka. No? Okay? So, that is the correct answer. Next, in organophosphate poisoning, Classic acute presentations include diarrhea, urination, meiosis, bronchuria, yung dumbbells, no? So, what explains or pertains to paralysis of neck, flexor muscles, facial muscles, proximal limb muscles, and respiratory muscles that can occur 1 to 5 days after poisoning? Very important to explain sa pasyente na kahit konti lang yung na-ingest niya, you would have to admit this patient usually hanggang 1 linggo because of this intermediate syndrome. Kasi in 40% of patients following ingestion, kung minalas ka, 5th day, pauwi na nga lang, pinauwi mo bigla, sabihin nating naghama yung pasyente mo. Kunwari, overstaying siya sa ER. Kunwari, puno yung kwarto sa wards. Nag-overstay yung pasyente kasi walang kwarto. Nasa sisi siya. Day 4 na siya, yung pasyente mo. Okay naman, Dok. Stable naman. I-relay sa'yo ng nurse mo. Gusto maghama. Ihahama mo ba? Itataya mo ba yung lisensya mo? So, hindi. Usually, in practice, 7 days yan. It's because of this. Kasi ang hirap i-explain sa pamilya pag biglang nag-arrest yung pasyente. Pag hinama mo yan. Ayun, no? Paralysis ng neck flexor muscles, lalo na respiratory muscles, no? So, take note, intermediate syndrome. Okay? Standby intubation ka dyan. Okay? So, tintinali 1 to 5 days after ingestion. Pero in practice, usually 7 days yan naka-admit. Okay? So, intermediate syndrome. So, huwag kayong maging kampante, no? Day 4, stable na stable. Okay? So, tapusin mo hanggang 1 linggo para makasigurado ka. Next, which of the following is part of organophosphate poisoning management? So, syempre, stabilization, most important, yung 7 principles. Decontamination, wash the patient with soap and water. Papaliguan mo yung pasyente dyan. Tapos make sure na naka-PPE kayo kasi sobrang sangsang yan eh. No? Sobrang irritating. Then, monitoring, basic yan. Gastric lavage, charcoal, no benefit. Then, atropine. Ito, you have to know this by heart, no? Yung atropinization. Ito yung i-mention ni Tintinali sa inyo. 1.2 to 3 grams IV. Depending on severity of symptoms, no? Tapos, meron siyang criteria for atropinization, no? Then, merong pralidoxime. Then, merong benzodiazepines for seizure, no? Pero, merong PGH guidelines, no? This is the local guidelines. Ito yung sinusunod natin in clinical practice, no? For atropinization. So, mild, moderate, severe. Tandaan nyo lang 1, 3, 5. 0.01, 0.03, 0.05. 135. Magic number. Okay? Para masabi mong mild, moderate, severe, usually nagre-request ka dyan ng RBC cholinesterase assay. Hindi nga lang siya widely available, pero just so you know, may ganong concept, no? You request for RBC cholinesterase, tapos titingnan mo kung ilan yung binagsak, no? There is a computation for that, no? Pero at your level, nice to know muna yon. Okay? Then, you have your atropinization goals. Ito. Expected ang tachycardia, ha? Yan ang take-home message ko sa inyo. Dok, nagtataki yung pasyente habang nag-atropine. Tanong mo, gano'ng kataki? Okay, kung explain mo lang sa nurse or minsan sa relative na hindi mapakali, Dok, 130 yung heart rate. Okay lang ba yan? Baka kailangan nating itigil yung atropine. Huwag kang papayag. Ikaw yung doktor, di ba? So, ito yung atropinization goals mo eh. expected yan. Pupils 4 to 5, tandaan nyo yan. Heart rate 110 to 140, tandaan nyo yan. Dry mouth is also an expected goal. And then hypoactive vowel sounds, you have to manually count per minute. Dapat less than 4 clicks ka. Okay, and then you watch out for signs of atropine toxicity naman. Yung red as a beet, mad as a hatter, diba? Dry as a bone, yung mga ganon, no? So, yun naman yung iwa-watch out mo sa atropine toxicity. So, actually, maganda to, yung mga organophosphate, no? Kasi you are already studying 2 toxidromes at the same time. Yung cholinergic toxidrome as well as yung anti-cholinergic toxidrome. Kasi yun yung iwa-watch out mo for your treatment. Okay? So, the correct answer is wash the patient with soap and water. Hindi ka magbibigay ng phenytoin, no? Benzodiazepines ang ibibigay mo. Okay? Next, what is the most common arrhythmia in digoxin? Recall type of questions. So, PVCs, tsaka Brady. Yan lang yung tandaan nyo. Tapos, familiarize nyo na lang din tong 4 findings, T-wave changes, QT shortening, scoop depression of the ST segment, tsaka increase U-wave. Okay? Digoxin. Pag tinanong kayo anong ophthalmologic side effect ng digoxin, toxicity, yung xanthopsia. Okay, yung naninilaw yung paningin niya, no? Everything is in yellow. Okay? So, PVCs. How are isoniazid-induced seizures generally managed? Recall type lang din to. So, benzodiazepines and pyridoxine. Take note, phenytoin has no role. Okay? Then take note that 3 classic features ng isoniazid overdose: seizure, metabolic acidosis, and protracted coma. So, benzodiazepine and pyridoxine. Which of the following is part of the calcium channel blocker overdose management? Aggressive ba ang IV crystalloid infusion? Hindi. Baka mag-congest yung pasyente mo dyan. Do you give high-dose insulin therapy agad? Hindi. Later on na yan. Do you give glucagon prior to Calgluc? Hindi din. So, correct answer is Calgluc. Merong sequence, no? So, merong sequence dyan. Fluids muna, pero dapat maingat ka sa fluids. Then, pag hypotensive pa rin yung pasyente mo, Calgluc, no? So, dali tandaan, no? CC. Fluids muna, crystalloids, konti. Tapos, Calgluc ka. Up to 3 doses. Usually yan Q15. 3 grams calcium gluconate SIVP. Q15 for 3 doses pag adult. Okay? Pagka hindi nakuha yan, Brady yung pasyente mo, tsaka mag-glucagon. Huli na yan. Huli na tong mga to. Okay? What I want you to remember is CC. Crystalloids, konti. Tapos, Calgluc. Okay? Tapos, down the line ng mga insulin, high-dose insulin, tsaka epinephrine, no? Pag hypotensive talaga. Just take note yung mga criterias, no? Just run through it. Hindi ka basta-basta mag high-dose insulin. Then, you run through this na lang, no? So, correct answer is Calgluc. Up to 3 doses. What is the accepted toxic dose for iron with significant GI effects? Must know to, 20 milligrams per kilo. So, sa PGH, ang dami yung kasong ganyan, no? So, 20 milligrams per kilo. Then, if magre-request kayo ng serum iron, dapat 4 to 6 hours post-ingestion. Just like in paracetamol, pag magre-request ka ng serum paracetamol assay, 4 to 24 hours post-ingestion. Pag iron, 4 to 6 hours post-ingestion. Okay? What stage of iron toxicity? Transaminases. So, nabanggit ko yung kanina. Stage 4. Pag paracetamol, ingestion, pag abdominal pain, tapos may elevation of transaminases, stage 2 yon pag paracetamol. Pag iron, stage 4. Okay? So, you just run through this, yung mga stages, no? Ito lang yung gusto ko yung i-emphasize sa inyo, no? Kasi, lagi ito namamali eh. Itong elevation of transaminases, laging namamali yan. Kaya yan yung gusto ko i-emphasize sa inyo. Okay? Correct answer is stage 4. Okay, so that wraps up yung toxicology, yung mga basic tox cases, no? Good luck in your review, no? Sana makatulong ito sa inyo. Huwag kayong ma-overwhelm sa tox, basta alam niyo yung 7 principles of management. Okay? So, if you have any questions, feel free to message me sa text or sa Viber. No? So, I'm very happy and I would appreciate all of your suggestions, comments, questions. No? Huwag kayong maiyak. No? Para din naman sa inyo yan. Okay? We all want to pass sa mga exams natin. Diba? So, yun lang naman. So, good luck. God bless. Take care.